Welcome to Door County Nature Week. I'm Martha Luber Pelrine, a trustee for the Nature Conservancy in Wisconsin and a proud Door County resident. The Nature Conservancy is a global nonprofit conservation organization that works in 79 countries around the world to protect the lands and waters on which all life depends. We began our work in Door County in 1962 and have protected nearly 8,000 acres across the peninsula, including our 4 nature preserves. Our work across the state now includes strategies to provide food and water sustainably, build healthy cities, and tackle climate change. I'm so pleased to be your host for our video series this week, highlighting some of the unique places, plants, and animals that are found on the Door Peninsula. Today, we'll hear from Nature Conservancy staff Mike Grimm and Kari Hagenow and learn about the migratory birds that find a respite in their journey here in the wild places of Door County.
I love talking about ovenbirds because they're very common, especially in the forests on the Door Peninsula and our forests in the North Woods, but they're often overlooked because they're somewhat secretive. So they build these little nests out of leaves that the ones I've seen, they're on the ground and they almost look like little tents made out of leaves that the birds will crawl into and have their young in. So they're very secretive, but also if you know what to listen for, which is teacher, 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 then you actually realize that they're all around us in the forest. Ovenbirds and the other birds that are kind of associated with these forested habitats really like intact, larger blocks of forest with mature trees, that kind of provide them that shelter that they need.
In spring, they start moving north because they breed up in Door County or further north, up north of Lake Superior, up into the conifer forests up there. The Great Lakes form kind of a barrier for migration for these birds. They don't generally like to fly over the lakes. They'll fly along the edges.
The Door Peninsula is really important because of where it's set on the landscape. So when we think of these birds making these arduous journeys from Central and South America all the way into Wisconsin or even further north, they're queuing in on these large blocks of forest, knowing that they're going to provide food and shelter. And they're also queuing in on landmarks like the Great Lakes or like the Mississippi River. So they're traveling these corridors along a lot of these waterways.
So connectivity is sort of a difficult concept to generalize about when you're talking about animals and landscape connectivity, because because some animals don't move much, like a little land snail, but some, like birds, may move across the entire hemisphere. Some of these birds are moving from South America to North America in the Western Hemisphere. So that's their corridor of movement. So we are a part of that in Door County. We're a part of that, for birds anyway, we're a part of that corridor of movement. Warblers are small birds, generally the size of a sparrow. Some are a little smaller. They are generally very colorful, lots of yellows and blacks, orange in their wings and in their body. So they're quite brilliant birds, especially in the spring when they're in their spring colors and they're flying north. So the warblers dive into these cedar swamps, feed on all of the midges and insects that are emerging at that time. They fuel up, they rest, and then when night falls, they pick up and take off north. It's a great place to be in mid-May to look for warblers.
When we talk about coastal wetlands and plants and these coastal habitats, there's a lot of birds that live there that we may never see. And some of these include Virginia rail or Sora rail and tiny wrens like the sedge wren or marsh wren. And all of those species use these wetlands as their home and breeding grounds. But they're secretive, and they're down in the blue joint grass or the cattail, and we may never see them. So sometimes just spending a quiet moment in a wetland and tuning your ears to the sounds around you can be really surprising and interesting, and give you an experience that if you're kind of moving around and making noise and hustle bustle, you just don't get to have otherwise.
Thanks, Kari and Mike. We're so fortunate in Door County to see these species every year as they migrate, and I'm grateful that the Nature Conservancy and others have protected this critical stopover habitat. This important work is only possible through the support from programs like the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Program and support from our members. We love you. If you're not a member yet, you can visit nature.org/member to join us. And remember, tune in tomorrow to hear from Mike about the endangered Hines emerald dragonfly. And speaking of that, we're drifting down the Mink River right now. See you tomorrow.